In any other show that has been so exhilarating, so impactful with emotions as of late, generally I'd be put off by a school festival arc, but there's something about the My Hero Academia formula with the way these characters interact with each other that I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, let's do it. Especially seeing by we never truly know where it wants to go, and the fact that we've had this opening that was so bouncy and so full of life. We're seeing characters play in a band. We're like, these are superheroes, right? They're never going to play in a band. And, well, what do you know? We're going to have a little party here. We're going to put on a show. And that opening is starting to make a lot more sense. I mean, I was enjoying the opening since we originally heard it. I thought that was just so unique for My Hero Academia. But I thought it was just a random designed opening. It's not uncommon to have anime just kind of do something a little out there, even if it doesn't perfectly capture the idea that the arc is going for. But to see how it's actually tying into this school festival where they're all going to basically either pick up an instrument or just perform for the others, do a little decompressor there. I'm like, that's exactly what I think these characters need, especially after seeing what Overhaul and that entire arc did to them, and basically the mentality of the school overall. And there's actually a surprising amount of content for a pretty low stakes episode, I have to say. I mean, the first half was definitely a lot more slice of life, a lot more just the characters being their age, not worrying about their lives, and just being students, which is kind of what they were always supposed to be until years later when they're fully trained and ready to go. With the second half having, some amazing Eri content, which was absolutely my favorite part of this episode, and then the little conclusion with this gentleman fellow in La Brava, I'm just thinking to myself, what in the actual hell, you're already probably going to be one of my favorite characters this arc, and I just love the idea of basically filming yourself and how, like, anytime things don't go according to plan, you pretty much just cut the tape, and most likely La Brava is the one who cleans up the mess before you turn the tape back on and be like, yes, I am the best person ever. I love that concept just because you have characters who you would think after seeing Overhaul, anytime someone looks mysterious as if, oh shit, new villain, new antagonist, new someone to really push our characters against the wall. And then we get this. I love that. I mean, I don't know too much about these characters. I know that there was some hype around them just based on what I saw on my social media feeds. But the fact that we did come off of a character who basically was ripping apart people, just doing such horrible things, especially to children, and then we have someone who's basically trying to make a name for himself by passing these tapes around to show his accomplishments as a petty criminal. That's kind of amazing, I have to say. But in terms of the Eri content, I definitely want to discuss that first, because that was my favorite part of this episode. Eri's entire role and just what she represented in the previous arc was such an impactful moment for the series, and is probably going to be one of the highlights of the series as a whole. And to see how they're not just abandoning what happened to this girl makes me incredibly happy and just let out this sigh of relief. Because so many times am I used to just seeing something that you think should be very traumatizing just kind of swept under the rug because you're no longer really focusing in on the character. But the fact that you're keeping Night Eye's death away from her because she's already blaming herself for everything, blaming that one character is no longer a hero, blaming herself that everything that's happened is because of her, and how, Overhaul literally did such toxic things to her. Manipulate her to the point that she thinks she's worthless and she doesn't deserve happiness. It should take her a good while to really overcome that trauma, and should she be able to actually incorporate herself to this festival, enjoy herself for a day, that could really be the stepping stone that she needs to start living a life and actually being a kid, not being some test subject that gets manipulated and tortured. And I love how they're not abandoning that core characteristic, and how the first thing that she asks for is to see both Togeda as well as Deku. Which is the perfect thing, I think. Because if you're going to have a character who's literally been so bruised and broken, who has to be locked away and kept in isolation because people are literally scared of her or just fear like her abilities going haywire, the fact that these two not only came to see her, but also let her just speak her mind, let her say how she felt, and how they both really just felt so bad for her, as if you're literally blaming yourself because we had to get hurt, but that's the entire point of a hero, right? You're supposed to be able to give up your life for someone, and as long as you can smile, that's the only thing that matters. And the fact that she can't smile, it's both such an adorable but painful moment. She literally tries to rip her face upwards and can't remember how to smile. That literally says how broken she is. I mean, we've already known that, we've seen how Overhaul treated her. I mean, she ran back to him even at the face of someone trying to help her originally, right? But the fact that she literally can't remember, I think it really says why someone like Deku immediately was like, this can't stay like this. we need to incorporate her into the fun. And a lot of times when people like see something that has low stakes or doesn't have an insane amount of action, they write it off as filler for some unknown reason. Something being filler doesn't necessarily mean something has no action or it's low stakes. Like, what we're seeing here with how the characters are recovering after such a tragic arc is anything but filler. Yes, maybe there's going to be less action, if no action in this arc, but still, that doesn't mean it's filler. As we can clearly see with Eri, and clearly see with a lot of these characters, they went through a hell of a lot, and the fact that the author is not brushing this off as being like, okay, no longer are you scared for your lives, let's just jump into the next one. Have these characters feel like they've been fighting in wars for 30 years or something. No, these are young people. They should take time to recover, and the only way that I think kids their age should be able to recover is by, having a school festival. Have them perform and dance and sing and party. Actually have them be their age. And the fact that they're also incorporating Eri and not just sweeping her under the rug because she could be a plot device to just casually fix everything should the author keep her in the story, but actually saying why she can't use her ability but also letting her be incorporated, it just goes to show how good the writing is, not only for last arc but continuing forward, that things aren't being casually forgotten and things like Night Eye's death or Eri's just turmoil that she's experienced is something to be remembered. And that entire confrontation was amazing. It was heartbreaking, but I really think it set in motion that things potentially could get better, and I like that sense of optimistic nature that the show is trying to go for. The first half of the episode was definitely a lot more downtime and pretty fun content with Jiro or Mina and just the characters overall basically either partying and dancing or, being a little embarrassed about just, they have a hobby, they can play instruments. I mean, her ability is literally like a phone jack. She can basically connect to things, and like, it's understandable. You get a little embarrassed and you think people are picking on you or you want to, just run away, but like, her ability and her talents and things like that is the perfect thing to bring everyone together. And even though it's a very simple concept, I think that simplistic nature is why it's so memorable. It'd be very easy to write something that's super complex where they build the giant and most amazing like haunted house or fun house or something like that, just something so elaborate and crazy, and let the characters have fun, and it'd be fun to see them in those situations. Hell, it gets brought up, let's do a maid cafe, and I was totally expecting that was going to happen. I mean, when you got characters like Midata and just others, you just kind of feel like somehow they're going to worm their way into the others and just say, you know what, we are going to manipulate the situation for our own horny benefit. I mean, I was totally expecting that, and it kind of got swept under the rug, at least for now, but you never can pass it off with some of these characters. It'd be super easy to do something really elaborate, but the fact that they're going with just a party, a dance, some music, some activities, like, just let these characters just decompress, which is kind of what school is all about, especially in those, like, day activities where they have dances and things like that. It's the most, like, common thing for a school setting, but I think that common element is what these characters need. I think it's very, very easy for viewers, or even an author writing a story, to just assume that what should happen is once you end a big arc, you give them maybe 1, 2, potentially 3 episodes worth of content before you jump in to the next big elaborate thing. And I think we've come very used to seeing that, and that's why sometimes when we watch something like My Hero Academia, which has had multiple episodes after Overhaul, not just jumping into the next stressful thing, it's very easy to say that doesn't feel right. But the reason that you may have that gut reaction is because we're used to basic stories. And I know there's always going to be people who call My Hero Academia basic. They're going to hate watch the show. They're going to continue to say the same thing every single week as they reluctantly continue to watch it and write it off, not seeing why other people enjoy it. But the thing with it is that we're still seeing things last after the arc, and we can have 12 episodes worth of downtime because realistically, that's how long these characters should take to fully recover, or at least recover to the point that their PTSD isn't going to kick in mid-battle the next time we see a character who could potentially end their lives. The last thing you want is for them to freeze on the battlefield because they easily could after experiencing that. Do you want Eri to randomly go off like a nuclear bomb the next time she sees a masked man or something like that, just someone who reminds her of Overhaul? No, you gotta recover and overcome that, and that's why I'm actually really excited for this festival. I really appreciate the slow burn to it, where even though it's definitely slow burn in comparison to what we've recently seen, it still doesn't feel slow in the slightest. There was always something happening on screen. There was a joke being said, a cute moment, a funny reaction. There was something happening at every moment of this episode, and when they slowed it down, really slowed it down, to give that emotional heart punch, I think they did an excellent job. Airy content, that gentleman content, the slice of life party kind of design, I mean, there's a lot of fun content and just funny moments overall that makes it a very compelling episode of My Hero Academia. Maybe it's not going to be for everyone, but I love those types of episodes that really don't forget about what just happened, but also progress it in the most logical direction, and a party for students is exactly what they need. But as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, be it for source material readers, anime originals. What did you think of this very different feeling, but very relieving episode of My Hero Academia? Do let me know. And remember to leave a like if you did enjoy, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.